Hi, this is Joe again with another review. For the sake of this review, I'm going to be discussing the 1980 film Friday the 13th, starring Betsy Palmer. Of course, some time ago, I had reviewed the entire Friday the 13th movie series, but I did one whole review, just like it was basically an overview of the whole movie series. But I did review each movie individually, and so I'm going to do that. Well, at least most of them. For your individual one by one. At least I'm going to try to. Because recently, I'm doing this like 2 weeks after Friday the 13th, March 2020. So, the Sci-Fi Channel aired the first 8 movies of the Friday the 13th series. And so, for some reason, they didn't show every movie. That's the first 8. And not in order, I might add. So, it's a little pain in the neck to get through trying to do them in order. But they showed the first 8. Anyway, the first movie, and the reason why they did it was because A was Friday the 13th, so they did a marathon on it. And second of all, it was also the 40th anniversary, which I didn't really. Oh God, do I feel old? This is the 40th anniversary of the original Friday the 13th film, and that's the one I'm concentrating on in this video. Well, like I said, the first movie came out in 1980, and this is a movie that it is the longest movie series of the slasher film genre, and that's about pretty much the entire decade of the 80s, with the exception of I think 1984. I think 84 and 80, I think it was 84 or 83 and 87, or only 2 years of 1980s where a Friday the 13th movie did not come out. There wasn't any Friday the 13th movies. And after a while, especially when I was in high school, I got to high school in 85, so like every year when there was a Friday the 13th during the year, a Friday the 13th movie came out. So it's kind of like a tradition, and everybody knows, and when there's a Friday the 13th during the year, Friday the 13th movie will come out. So it's kind of also came with a joke after a while. Because very rarely you'd have a Friday the 13th. And the original one is such an iconic film, and I do feel that it's definitely, as of right now, it's definitely the best film. Except for maybe possibly the second movie. A lot of people say the second movie is the best one, but I haven't seen that. And I haven't rewatched it. But the first movie, so it's Betsy Palmer as Mrs. Voorhees, and of course, I'm giving away the ending. Mrs. Voorhees, a lot of people felt that Jason Voorhees was the killer through all 10, or technically 11 movies, including the Freddy vs. Jason movie, so I'm saying 11 films. But in the first movie, you didn't even see Jason in the whole movie, except for the end, which we're going to get into. Because this movie starts over in 1958, where a young camper by the name of Jason drowns in the lake. It was a campground by the name of Camp Crystal Lake, and the movie was actually filmed in New Jersey, in an actual campground in New Jersey. And like I said, one of the kids drowned. His name was Jason. It's probably like a retarded kid, which he didn't really say in the film, but it really was a retarded kid who drowns in the lake. And the reason why he was drowned, or at least the mother fell, by the time you get to the end, because all the camp counselors were the whole bunch of horny teenagers in 1958 who were so busy having sex with each other, they didn't pay attention to Jason, who drowned in the lake. Right? So in revenge, the mother takes her revenge on all the campers, because the camp was reopening after over 20 or 22 years later. The camp was going to be reopened with a new camp, a bunch of new camp volunteers, camp counselors, and so forth. One of them happened to be very young Kevin Bacon, in one of his first movie roles. And ironically, his name was named Jack, and that became a running gag through Kevin Bacon's career that every character he played was named Jack. Right? And that's also one of the most famous kills, but fortunately, since it was on the Sci-Fi Channel, they edited it out. It was the most famous kill in the whole movie. It's kind of like with Johnny Depp in Nightmare on Elm Street. That was the most famous death in the original Nightmare on Elm Street. Kevin Bacon is the most original death, or the most famous death, I should say, or famous kill in the original Friday the 13th. Because after he had sex with one of the girls in the camp, he gets stabbed through the neck with an arrow. So you see the arrow going right through his whole, right not only through the bed, but through his neck. And you see the arrow coming out of his neck. That's the most famous kill in the whole original Friday the 13th movie, other than the killer herself, which, I'm giving away anyway, was Mrs. Voorhees, was the one who was killing all the camp counselors. And it was really a different twist, because naturally, of course, if you've never seen the Friday the 13th movies, at least watch it from the beginning, you didn't know that Mrs. Voorhees was the one who was doing the killing. You thought maybe Jason, like some kind of like a zombie creature from the water, coming in to kill everybody, or like a phantom or a ghost or a spirit coming from the water. It's kind of like a mythical creature at this point, killing everybody. It's kind of like Frankenstein or Dracula, or a creature when they couldn't be killed. Same thing with Jason. But unfortunately, like I said, Jason was not the one who was killing people. And it was kind of like an interesting mystery to see who was actually killing the people. Was it really this kid who was drowned? Or was it something? And because you were waiting for Jason to show up in this movie, and you never really actually see him until the end, where Annie, Anne was the one who was the last survivor. Everyone else gets killed, and of course, she got stopped by Mrs. Voorhees. Like I said, played by Betsy Palmer, and she has the arm around the treatment, and she goes, "Oh, because I used to be the cook here. I worked here," and she then eventually told the backstory of why she knew about the camp, or why she knew that it was reopening or about to reopen. And even the one who was behind fixing up the camp, Camp Crystal Lake, he also gets killed. The head guy, he also gets killed. And why everybody ended up dead. It's all because she was friends with the guy, well, family was friends with the guy who was trying to reopen the camp and stuff. And she says, "Hey, it was my son who drowned in the lake here. And oh, he was too busy making love to wash my child." So it says, "Look what," and actually, of course, little by little, you start seeing Mrs. Voorhees going nuts, and of course, getting the crap out of Annie. And it wasn't Annie. I forgot the name of the actual character, because Annie was the one who was really the first one to get killed in this movie, and she gets chased, and you see Mrs. Voorhees speaking in a high pitch, like a child's voice, going, "Kill her, mommy! Kill her! Kill her, mommy!" She does that, kind of like Norman Bates in Psycho, and it's like, oh, it's that type of a thing when the mother gets revenge on the for what happened to Jason. Now, of course, the other famous kill was seeing the mother's head get decapitated, and like I said, the Sci-Fi Channel edited that out. As a matter of fact, I should mention that Tom Savini was the one who did the special effects. He did the special effects for a couple of the George Romero's zombie films, the Dead series, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. He also directed Day of the Dead, and he directed his own version of the remake of Night of the Living Dead. He did the special effects for a lot of the Friday the 13th movies, at least the earlier films. And the more gross it was, the more the ratings cut a lot of the stuff out. Otherwise, Friday the 13th would got an X rating. Even though there's not that much sex in it, or not much nudity in it, but because of the violence factor. But like I said, the mother was the one who was doing all the killing, and of course, naturally, she got decapitated at the end of the film. And of course, Annie, she gets on the a boat. She's out in the middle of the ocean. She figures, okay, now she thinks she's safe. And the next morning, as the cops come, you see them come on the other side of the lake. You saw a body come out of the lake, grab anybody in the throat, and drag her down in the water. Now that would have been the guy who does these films on the Cinemassacre channel, who did a whole thing with Friday the 13th, that would have been the perfect ending. And I thought, hey, that would have been, I thought that would have been a better ending too. But surprise, that wasn't the actual ending. The ending was that she wakes up in a hospital bed, and the sheriff and the doctor there, and says, and she goes, "Oh, did you find the little boy in the lake?" You sort of go like this. What body? What are you talking about? And said, "The little boy, Jason. He was in the lake. He was the one that dragged me under the water." And he said, "We didn't find anybody in the lake. We just found you. That's it. You're the only one they saw in the lake." And he goes, "Oh, then he still must be out there." It goes down, 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 and they went back to the panning shot of Crystal Lake, and that's how the Illusion movie ended. But and they didn't have the extra little ending there. It's kind of like a rip-off of what they did with Invasion of the Body Snatchers, where they put a little extra ending scene at the end of the movie because it probably was too short. The movie was probably too short, so they probably put that ending in there with the one lone survivor in the hospital room saying about Jason, talking about Jason in the water. And that's probably why they put the ending in there. Otherwise, it would have been under like an hour and 25-minute film instead of an hour and a half, which the movie actually was. But it was really, it should have ended with Jason grabbing her under the water and pulling her under the water. That would have been a perfect ending of this movie because it is a horror movie, and to end on a scene more like a cliffhanger scene instead of a scene like that, it would have been better off to end the movie with an actual horror movie cliche ending instead of the cliffhanger cliche ending. But I always liked the first couple of Friday the 13th films myself personally. But the first one, I feel that's the best one. And the second one was a decent follow-up and pretty good follow-up. And I won't get into the other films in the series when I watch them and get through them. But for the first movie, it's definitely the best one to see. And of course, if you've never seen the Friday the 13th movies before, watch the movies in order. Please, watch the movies in order. That's all I ask. Instead of skipping them out like what the Sci-Fi Channel did, which they really screwed up on. Start throwing the movies in order. So that's my review of the original Friday the 13th movie on its 40th anniversary year. Please click on the video, please rate it, please subscribe to my channel, please forward this video on your Facebook pages. You can check out all my reviews on my YouTube channel at RallyC.com, that's all WDY.C.com. There's a whole page of Rally Reviewer, Christy Moore. Please check out all of his videos on his website. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.